As soon as a baby is born, doctors normally shout, "It's a boy" or "It's a girl." Doctors normally base their assessment on the anatomy of the infant. As children grow, the majority align themselves with the traditional gender roles that was placed upon them at birth. However, for some, their assigned gender does not reflect how they identify themselves. This holds true for the transgender community. Since I am a female athlete and have done a lot of research for this speech, I have learned that there has been much debate over the inclusion of transgender athletes in athletic competitions. Since the transgender population in the United States is increasing every year, it is important to establish athletic policies that are fair. The debate over including transgender athletes in sports competitions is centered on biological differences, most notably those between transgender and cisgender women. Performance variation comes across as unfair because there are differences in athletic performance. Many oppose this inclusion of transgender women because women's sports are a protected identity and these boundary lines should not be erased or changed for any reason. Today, I will discuss that the differences are between a transgender female and a cisgender female, why transgender athletes should not be allowed to participate on women's sports teams, and how it can be controlled by advocating for better solutions to make the competition more equal. First, I will talk about the biological differences related to athletic performance between a transgender female athlete and a cisgender female athlete. Generally, assigning a child's sex is based on biology, which is basic science as it includes chromosomes, anatomy, and hormones. All of this is easy to prove, but a person's gender identity may not align with their biological makeup. Roman 2022. In the article, Role of Clinical Laboratories in Reporting Results of Transgender Individuals on Hormonal Therapy stated that transgender individuals experience discordance between their gender identity and sex assigned at birth. Transgender people feel that they were assigned a sex at birth that does not match their true identity, and some even go as far as using hormones and surgery to alter their bodies. In light of these hormonal changes, males are systematically born biologically different than females. Males are predisposed to outperform females in sports that require strength, power, and speed. These are differences in muscle mass, skeletal structures, and hormonal biology, and all of these persist after medical and surgical gender transition. Males are inherently taller, have longer limbs, broader shoulders, more upper body strength, and less body fat. In general, boys are faster, stronger, and bigger than girls, which gives them the competitive edge needed to outplay and outrun any female. So with the increased amount of transgender athletes trying to participate on cisgender teams, I will now tell you why this is considered to be unfair. Transgender athletes should not be allowed to participate on women's sports teams. In sports that allow athletes to participate according to gender identity rather than biological sex, transgender females will have a competitive edge as they have a physical advantage. According to Kendra Valser 2021, in the article, The Struggle for Equality stated, the modern civil rights movement as well as LGBTQ social movement have brought the desperate treatment of transgender athletes to the attention of lawmakers. This issue becomes even more enhanced on January 20, 2021 when President Joe Biden issued an executive order aimed at preventing and combating discrimination on the basis of gender identity and sexual orientation. After researching this information, Valser then summarized, while it was a valiant effort, the practical results in a competitive athletic context discriminate against female athletes who constitute roughly 50.8% of the US population. Because of the inherent difference in male and female biology, even after prolonged hormone treatment. Interestingly, the muscular advantage of a transgender woman over a cisgender woman is only minimally reduced after testosterone suppression. This suggests that in certain athletic competitions which rely on muscle mass and explosive strength, transgender females will still have a physical advantage even if they are able to lower their testosterone levels. This is why women's sports were created apart from men's sports to give girls a fair chance at competition. Girls deserve the same opportunity as boys do, to excel, advance, and be recognized for their accomplishments. Continuing to allow transgender females the opportunity to compete in female-only sports is unfair and denies equal opportunities. Now that you understand the differences between these athletes, I will now share what should be done in order to make it more equal to those cisgender female athletes. In order to keep women's sports teams fair, we must advocate for better solutions to make the competition more equal. Michelle Roman, 2021, in the article Fair Play, declared the current debate swirling around the inclusion of transgender individuals in sports teams is a complex issue, with the Save Women's Sports movement gaining traction across the country. An issue regarding the current sports policies on transgender athletes is that the governing bodies of different athletic organizations have very different policies that athletes must follow. According to the World Athletes that Governing Sports Body 2019, the International Olympic Committee restricted all athletes from competing in the female category unless they lowered their natural testosterone levels below 5 nanomole per liter. However, the National Collegiate Athletic Association has much less defined guidelines for the inclusion of transgender athletes, an approach that should be sought after by those advocating for equality in sports is to create 3 separate divisions, one for male athletes, one for female athletes, and one for transgender athletes. Having a place for transgender athletes to call their own will allow them to compete at their own level. Other options could include separate heats, additional events, or the handicapping of results. In conclusion, the debate over the inclusion of transgender athletes in sports is that transgender women will have a physical advantage in order for competitions to remain fair. Universal rules need to be created regarding transgender athletes. Women's sports were created to give girls a fair chance. Federal legislation's main focus should be on protecting women's competitive categories while crafting accommodations for transgender athletes. If things do not change soon, gender-typical female athletes will be pushed out of sports altogether.